So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the VIC ICT Careers Expo webinar with myself and Claire. This is the Science of Where. We're going to be introducing Eagle Technology and ICT career paths in GIS. So my name is Ted Taylor. I'm a sales and events coordinator at Eagle Technology. And
the
Claire,
other voice you'll hear this morning is Claire, which is me. I'm the GIS Education and Training Manager at Eagle, and I look after the education sector, which obviously includes universities and our training program that we run through Eagle Technology.
good to have you online this morning, Claire. So before we get started, guys, I'd just like to go over a few things so you know how to take part in today's sessions. So as an audience member, you'll be on mute for the duration of the session, but if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask these by typing into the discussion panel within GoToWebinar as shown here. And if we have time remaining at the end of the session, we'll look to answer these questions. But if we seem to run to full time, we'll look to get in touch with you directly following on from the webinar.
So we're aware that a number of you are working more in the ComSci sort of area of the university. So you might not be familiar with what GIS or the Science of Where actually is. So we thought we'd start off with what GIS is very quickly. And so GIS is an acronym. It stands for Geographic Information Systems, and sometimes you hear it referred to as Geographic Information Science as well, depending on the context you're in. Now, the software that Eagle supports and sells is called ArcGIS, and it is created by a company called Esri. And Esri defines GIS as a framework to organise, communicate and understand the science of our world. I prefer to think of it as taking data that has a location of some sort into a database and then into a series of applications that allows you to map and visualize that data, and also to add a location component to the analysis of that data. As I mentioned, we use applications to do that, but you can also create your own applications to present the results of your maps and your analysis for the world to see. We are going to focus in on the ArcGIS platform because obviously that's the platform that we sell, but you might also come across GIS in other components or other types of software like QGIS, Google Maps and Mapbox. In the ArcGIS platform, we tend to talk about common patterns of use, and you can see those in the slide here. There are 9 common patterns of use, and quite often as GIS professionals, we focus in on the mapping and visualization and the analytics, whereas as an ICT professional or a GIS professional who specializes in ComSci, you would be talking probably more about the data management side of things, managing databases, managing systems, and also maybe developing applications that help with that sharing and collaboration side of GIS, or engaging the community by creating user-friendly apps for people to access the results of GIS. We were also aware that you might not know where GIS is used across industry. So we thought we'd just put an example of some of our customers up on a slide. And as you can see in the slide that we have lots of verticals that we work across. We have 500 plus customers across New Zealand and the South Pacific, and they can range from electrical and gas organisations such as Vector, through to government organisations such as Land Information New Zealand, through to the local government. You can see Christchurch City Council and Wellington City Council sitting there, through to Crown Research Institutes, telcos, forestry and agriculture. So one of our biggest customers in that agriculture space is actually Fonterra. We don't only work with large commercial outfits, we also do support a number of conservation groups, non-profit organisations, and such as YSAR that you see there, which is Youth Search and Rescue. And we support schools across New Zealand to help them bring spatial and geospatial and GIS into their curriculum that they're teaching, and getting them excited about our spatial industry.
So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about Eagle Technology and who we are. So the company's been around since 1969. We celebrated our 50th anniversary last year, and it's a privately owned and family-orientated company. The current chairperson is Coralie Eagle, and there's been members of the Eagle family involved since its inception, 1969. There's currently a few other members of the Eagle family as part of the company today as well. So Eagle employs over 100 people and counting, of which about 40 sit within the GIS team, and of that about 20 sit within the professional services team, which we'll get to shortly. We've got offices across the country. The main ones are in Auckland and Wellington, when we've just upsized our Christchurch office as that's a growing team, and there's also a number of remote staff based in Hamilton and around the country. As Claire mentioned, we're the official distributor of the ArcGIS platform, and we have been so for about a quarter of a century. And so much of the business revolves around providing a full range of services to support the use of the platform, be that the support, the services, and then the training and online solutions available for that. We also partner with leading global IT providers and technology providers that go sort of hand in hand with ArcGIS. So we're talking about things such as satellite imagery and cloud storage that integrate with ArcGIS. And we also have the enterprise side of the business, as you can see there, partnering with Microsoft and SAP to provide hardware. So now I'd like to highlight the 4 teams that make up the GIS side of the business, and then showcase a few of these sort of young professionals or your graduates that sit within these 4 teams. So I'll start with Megan. Megan's part of our technical solutions team, which is also referred to as pre-sales. And so this team works with existing clients and also new clients or new opportunities to evaluate which parts of the ArcGIS platform will meet their needs, and they often develop prototypes and custom applications if it's something that's totally new. And so it's also their job to keep up to date with those latest software additions to ArcGIS, and then evaluate how they're going to fit within the New Zealand market. And so Megan joined Eagle last year after finishing her undergraduate studies in the States, and she's actually a graduate of Eagle's intern program. And so within the tech solutions team, Megan conducts research and development into what's possible with ArcGIS. And recently she's been involved specifically in ArcGIS for health and safety, namely with contact tracing across New Zealand. And she also has involvement within the utility sector as well. And so Ryan recently joined the professional services team, and that team consists of consultants, advisors, project managers, and just general qualified technical experts within ArcGIS. And so their roles see them work hand in hand with clients to ensure they're getting the most from their GIS investment. And these professional services staff, they often work on site with customers, and they can be contracted out at hourly rates for little bits and pieces, or they can essentially be hired for full durations of large projects. And so Ryan joined Eagle after studying geography and GIS at Victoria University. His role as a technical advisor sees him work with clients around what's possible with GIS, and he helps them achieve their goals through GIS capability. So his role is quite strategic, and he does a lot of planning and advising with the customers he works with. Now for myself, so I sit within the business development team alongside a number of account managers, and they each look after certain sectors within the New Zealand market, and they're the key contact point between Eagle and those customers. So for example, one of our account managers, he looks after central government agencies such as LINZ and DOC, the big organizations, and it's his role to manage those high level interactions and relationships on a day-to-day basis, sort of in terms of what they need from the software, what's working and what's not, and then he's then the contact point to get in touch with appropriate parties. The BD team also takes care of licensing, and we provide pricing and quotes to new and existing customers for solutions. And so my background is in geophysics and GIS. I studied at Victoria University as well, alongside Ryan, and I joined Eagle at the start of last year after completing an internship through the Masters in GIS program. So my role centers in business development, specifically through organising and attending events as an Eagle representative, and I work with clients in the conservation and education space as well, and I provide them with guidance and appropriate licensing. Our final team member is Ewan, and he sits in the support team. The support team provide professional assistance to all ArcGIS customers within New Zealand. They help with things like troubleshooting across the different bits and pieces. They identify bugs and then report them to Esri, and they also help manage the transition process as new versions of software are released. The support team also run professional training courses in both the Wellington and Auckland offices, although recently these have gone virtual. So Ewan joined Eagle from Lincoln University in 2016, and he's currently based down in the Christchurch office. And as a technical support consultant, he's supporting customers with queries and troubleshooting across the ArcGIS platform, namely with the desktop software you guys might be familiar with, such as ArcGIS Pro and ArcMap. And now we'll break things up slightly with a giveaway competition. So here you can see a map that a guy, Sam, who's part of the Emerging Spatial Professionals group, has put together using ArcGIS Pro, and he's been playing around with the color palettes to create some interesting effects, as you can see there. So if you think you know where this is, send your answers through to gistraining@eagle.co.nz, and later on we'll send out some prizes for those of you that guess correctly. So take a good look at that. Try and figure out where that is, and send your emails through with your guesses.
I was going to say, and keep it wider than just New Zealand. It might not necessarily be in New Zealand, that location. We'll bring that picture back up right at the end of the webinar so you can have another look and have a guess at where it is. So I wanted to focus in now really on the part of the ArcGIS platform that allows you to develop your own applications. And so we're going to have a look at the ArcGIS for developers content that Esri provides. So if you are interested in finding out more about ArcGIS for developers, there is actually a website there just on the slide, which has all the resources that I'm going to talk about available from it. And so the ArcGIS platform has a full suite of APIs and SDKs that can extend and configure existing applications, or you can build and configure your own custom applications inside the ArcGIS platform. This includes a API for JavaScript, so ArcGIS API for JavaScript, and you can see that this is a web-based design for development, and there is a sandbox on developers.arcgis.com where you can try out some of your coding and see what comes up with the application that you might come up with and what it looks like. And it's a really cool interactive tool which really allows you to play around with code samples and see what you can come up with. Obviously, we have a number of people at Eagle who work in this developer space, and so we have recently just run a ArcGIS for Developers webinar. And so if you are interested in having a look at that, we will send the recording link for that webinar out to you in our follow-up email. These webinars, these ArcGIS for Developer webinars, are actually ongoing. So we have one of those webinars probably about once every 6 months in that developer space. So you might just want to keep an eye on our website as well to see if any of those that are coming. The other thing that is quite commonly used across the ArcGIS platform is the Python scripting language, and we have a special module with Python called ArcPy that enables us to hook into ArcGIS with Python. And ArcPy is also used in the ArcGIS API for Python. And these two items, ArcPy and ArcGIS Python API for Python, can be utilized in what's known as a Jupyter notebook, where you can get some help with your syntax and visualization of what you have been coding. So I should have mentioned on that developer's website, you can actually sign up for a developer account. It's a free account, and then you can move up and pay for different other types of accounts. But in there, you can actually do all this testing with these ArcGIS notebooks as well. In addition to Python, we have a coding language that is specific to ArcGIS called Arcade, and it's similar to JavaScript in its structure, but it has been specifically written by Esri to enable customization and specialization of visualization and labeling within the ArcGIS platform. And it's similar to what you would expect to see if you were working with spreadsheet formula, for example, just to give you a little bit more of an idea of what Arcade is all about. And you can find out more about Arcade also on that developers.arcgis.com website as well.
Okay, so over the coming months, there's also a few key GIS events that you can keep an eye out for. So the first one is the Esri User Conference in San Diego. Now this is the largest GIS conference in the world. Last year they had over 17,000 attendees from across 133 countries, which is massive. And this year the event is going to be going virtual given the current circumstances. But the plenary session is going to be live streamed to everyone with an ArcGIS username, which is an awesome opportunity to hear from leaders and innovators in the GIS community worldwide. And one of the best parts is that students can actually register for the entire event for free using their student ID numbers and their ArcGIS usernames. So if you guys are interested in taking part in workshops and paper sessions, you can. We'll send out the registration link following the webinar along with some basic instructions on how to sign up for that. Following on from that, we're going to have the New Zealand version of the Esri User Conference, which is called the New Zealand Esri User Conference. And this is scheduled to run from the 31st of August through to the 2nd of September at this stage. And this is the biggest GIS event in Australasia, and we had 600 plus attendees last year. This event's also going to be virtual, but we're trying to make it as close to a real event as possible. I'm going to have things like a virtual expo hall, along with meeting rooms where people can network and interact with clients and customers. This is another excellent opportunity to learn about job opportunities and career paths across the industry in New Zealand, and is a good chance to meet some potential employers too. This conference is still a work in progress, so keep an eye out for more information, and you can contact us at nzec@eagle.co.nz, or you can just send us a message within the questions panel of this webinar if you'd like to be added to this mailing list for any updates. So beyond these large-scale events like the New Zealand Esri User Conference, there's plenty of other ways you can look to engage with the GIS community. I think the easiest way to do this is to follow those organisations that you're interested in on social media, such as say Eagle, Lins, or Doc. And here you can pick up news on projects and future opportunities that are available. There's a number of active Facebook groups I'd also recommend getting involved in. That was a good way that I personally became involved in the GIS community. The Emerging Spatial Professionals, or ESP, is one, and the NZ GIS Geeks is another one. The Emerging Spatial Professionals group used to host semi-regular quiz nights at pubs sort of last year and prior to lockdown, and I'm sure they'll strive to get these events going again as soon as possible. For those of you that aren't already on the VUW GIS mailing list, I'd recommend signing up for this. Jobs get posted fairly regularly through there and are distributed out. If you're interested in joining that mailing list, I'd recommend you can speak to Murray DeRoyster or Andy Ray, and they'll be able to add you on. The New Zealand Esri User Group website is another great place to connect with the GIS industry, and that's made up of a group of GIS professionals that actively support one another, and they promote collaboration and sort of communication all across New Zealand. And they also offer a free student membership, which I'd recommend signing up for. And then looking forward to next year, the New Zealand Esri User Group and Eagle host regional user conferences, and that's a great opportunity to hear from industry experts about how they're how they're using GIS, and it's a great way to network and engage with professionals and even other students as well. So yeah, if you sign up for NZEUG student membership, you can attend all those events for free, and based in Wellington and all over New Zealand as well.
So we have just a couple of future learning opportunities that you might be interested in, as well as what we've already talked about. So the first of those is what we call our Gallup program, which is our Geospatial Accelerated Learning Program Express version. So it's a 6 weeks program, and it's designed to close the skills gap that you might find yourself between finishing university and actually going into a GIS profession. So it's really designed to bring an emerging spatial professional up to speed with the use and application of the latest geospatial technology. And it aims to grow and develop a participant's skills to a level where they can make significant contributions to an organisation without a long lead time. So instead of 2 years, it might take you to get up to speed with all that new and exciting geospatial technology. If you were just to walk straight into an organisation, this program really is designed to condense that into a 6 weeks, so you can jump straight into your organisation and help with contributions in that geospatial area. Other things that you might be interested in, we currently have a GIS internship position being advertised on the Victoria University Career Hub, as well as in other locations. And basically, it's probably more what you would consider a graduate program from a university perspective. We do hire just graduates for a GIS internship, and it is a 6-month paid position. We tend to advertise at this time of year, and the interns start at Eagle in about July of the year. And applications are actually closing this time next week. So you've still got a week that you can consider and have a look at applying for that intern position if you're interested. As I mentioned, it's on the Careers Hub for Victoria University, so please feel free to go there and have a look at the details of that internship position. The other thing that you can do is there are postgraduate internships available through the Masters of GIS program at the Victoria University. And these postgrad internships are really 100 hours of experience at a organisation and a project associated with those that you have to present to your class in the Masters program. So that is a consideration. So that helps for those of you who may not have graduated yet, but are working through that postgraduate Masters of GIS program. So I'd just like to thank you for attending this webinar. You can see there on the slide again that little picture of a location somewhere around the world. If you think that you know where it is, as Ted said earlier, give us an email at gistraining@eagle.co.nz. And for the first few people who get that location correct, there'll be some prizes that we'll send out to you. I hope that you have gained some insight to the world of GIS in general, but also the world of GIS at Eagle Technology through this webinar. If you have any questions, we don't have any questions currently in our questions dialogue, but if you do, just feel free to type them into the chat window function of GoToWebinar, and we'll try and pick those up. If you still have questions that you don't want to ask during this webinar, feel free to email again at that gistraining@eagle.co.nz.
Yeah, so I think we'll wait a minute or two just in case anyone has any questions they'd like to send through. While we are online, this is a great opportunity for us to answer your questions. So please, if you do have anything, send that through now. and yeah, we'll be able to help you. Now, I'm aware there's a bit of a delay between us speaking and you guys hearing, so we'll give you guys a little bit more time to pop some questions through before we wrap up the webinar for today. Okay. I think in that case, if there's no questions coming through, we'll call it a day there. So thanks very much for attending our webinar today as part of the Vic ICT Careers Expo. Hopefully you guys, hopefully your studies have been going well and that you've been getting a lot out of these webinars and whatever other ones you've been attending. Please do get in touch with us if you have any questions. If you'd like to know anything else, we're happy to direct you to any resources and help you as required. So thanks very much, everyone. We'll notify you once this recording is made available on YouTube. And yeah, we look forward to working with you at some point in the future, hopefully. Thanks very much, everyone.